On this episode, it's party time. Party, because we gotta. We watched The Mask, and you're listening to Geeked Out.
Popcorn in our hands, ready for the show. From the classics to the blockbusters, we're always in the know. Throwing references like confetti, we keep it real. Geeked Out Podcast, we here to make you feel. We're the critics you can trust.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. My name is Kyle.
Juan here.
And as you heard in the intro, we watched The Mask, and this will be the last episode of our Jim Carrey mini-series. Juan, this was your pick. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on your history with this movie before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it?
Yeah. I know this was a movie we had on VHS, and I watched it so many times. I'm surprised I didn't completely wore out the film, to be honest. It's one of those movies I rewatched a lot. Looking back, I would definitely say this is the Jim Carrey movie that I've probably seen the most. And I'm pretty sure that my father took me to see it in the theaters. I have no vivid memory of going to see the movie, but knowing my dad and how frequently we went to the theater and him being a Jim Carrey fan, I have no doubt that this was a theater experience.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to see this movie in theaters. I know that I didn't see this one in theaters. Again, this is probably a rental, and it was probably one of those after I had seen the Ace Venturas, the Dumb and Dumbers. Like, obviously, this came in his massive 1994 year, along with those other two classic comedies. Yeah, but this was another one that was right in the rotation as I was growing up. I would say that of those, pretty much of Jim Carrey movies, this is one of the ones that I've probably seen the least when it comes to his early comedies.
The least?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved this movie as a kid, but
bro.
I don't know why I just...
That's right.
It could just be the immaturity that I had as a kid. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
That I gravitated towards more of the vulgar humor of Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, I don't know about that. I mean, he's got so many hits. You're not going to be a complete obsessed fan over all of them. There's going to be one or two that you gravitate towards.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I had said to you before we get into the releases and all that, the box office and whatnot, I had said to you before we started recording, and you said you were aware of this. This movie was actually based on a comic book. A Dark Horse comic, which, if you don't know, is kind of
dark.
If people don't know, it's kind of like you've got your big Marvels, your DCs. It's kind of one of the off-brand, not nearly as popular, but they still do have some big titles out there.
Yeah, I got some good characters.
Now, have you ever read a Mask comic book?
No. Only because I know it's such a departure from the tone of the movie. I really had no interest. But
So
I just know of how different it was, which is why I didn't care for it.
So in preparation for this episode, I utilized my get ready for this one. I utilized my library card, I went on. So with library cards, you can go on like apps on your phone that are connected to the library, and you can borrow digital copies, whether it be audiobooks, ebooks, things like that. And I got a 4-pack, like similar to what they do with like the trade paperbacks with comics now. It's like a 4-volume. I'll see if I can get right here, which is what I got. but it's The Mask. I pledge allegiance to The Mask, and it's volumes 1 through 4. Now, I only did this because I was curious about it because I had heard about this before, and I had heard that it was a very big
Dark
difference between
Lord.
this and the movie, and that might be one of the biggest understatements of all time.
Oh yeah, he's
Like,
murdering people, man.
dude, I only got through maybe 20 pages of it, but the violence, the gruesomeness, the brutality, it's like, in what I read, there's one part he literally kills a woman by shoving a bottle of chocolate syrup down her throat and jamming it out the back of her head. Like, it is so far removed from what this movie is.
Which is wild that this movie even got greenlit. Because how do you pitch that? How do you pitch this? Even with like, especially with an unknown at the time, Jim Carrey as your lead. I'm
well,
very curious on how this got approved
well, the
or
funny
greenlit.
thing is, I read that the original script was likened more to the comic book, and it didn't become a goofy comedy until Jim Carrey signed on.
Wow.
Now,
I
I
wonder
don't
what I
know
wonder what the
how.
tone of that would have been because it would have obviously had to be a horror movie if your hero, on quote, is murdering people in such a way.
Oh,
I
and
don't, I don't,
murdering
I
people
don't
in a
know.
violent, gruesome way.
I feel like that would have the movie would have changed just because they would have tried and went for it if Jim Carrey wasn't signed on and they went with that original tone. But I think it was inevitable that that tone would have been changed just because it at the time that can't translate to a big box office draw.
I'll be honest. Like I say, I only read 20 some pages of the comic, but from what I read, if they wanted to make a movie in that vein that the comic book was, I don't know how they make it without it being rated like NC-17. Like,
Yeah,
it
it's
was,
pretty graphic.
I
You'd
was
have to
blown
totally,
away.
yeah, yes, yes. So just hearing that they were thinking about, or at least the original plans were to keep it in the same tone as that. That's crazy because it never would have worked,
No, and this movie was geared towards like kids our age. We were, what, 8, something like that when this came out?
which is
Because,
wild with some of the
but
like,
this movie came, it was because of the toys, because they make him look and behave like a cartoon character, so they had
yeah,
toys.
yeah. They had a cartoon too. It
Yep,
lasted
I
a
remember
couple
that.
years. I remember they had this and Ace Ventura cartoon around the same time, and then
Yep.
I remember the crossover episode of The Mask and Ace Ventura where it was two Jim Carrey characters. It was wild. It's wild
Like,
times in the 90s.
be like that SNL skit where they have the Carey family reunion.
Oh, okay, yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I was a fan of the Mask cartoon as well.
I see. I know that both it and the Ace Ventura one existed. I never really watched either.
I didn't watch the Ace Ventura one. Maybe I caught a few episodes, but I don't remember. But I do remember watching The Mask.
Well, let's get into the mask. So first off, I want to say that we are located in Canada, and right now this movie can be streamed on Amazon Prime in Canada, Crave, as well as Netflix. Now, this movie was originally released on July 29th of 1994, as I said, in the year of Jim Carrey, 94. It had a budget of an estimated $23 million, and it had a worldwide box office return of $351.5 million. So
That's
this
crazy.
movie was a
Crazy hit.
massive hit.
And that's
I
not including things like merchandise and
No,
DVD
that's just
sales
box
and
office.
VHS sales, which I you can probably comfortably add another 100 million to that. but
I would
let's
assume
not
so.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the numbers are crazy for that time. Uh, the
absolutely.
movie it currently sits at a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. The tomato meter has it certified fresh at 81%. However, the fans and the popcorn meter have it at a mere 68% in comparison. The movie was directed by Chuck Russell, and it was written by Mike Werb, as we said, based on the comic book. The movie stars Jim Carrey, Cameron Diaz, Peter Riegert, Peter Green, R.I.P., Richard Jenny, R.I.P., and Amy Yazbek. The movie is about a bank clerk named Stanley Ipkiss who is transformed into a manic superhero when he wears a mysterious mask.
Yeah, that mask. I always wanted that mask as like a thing that I could display. I
Just a
might still do
prop.
it. Yeah,
It
I
does
just
look
like the look
cool
of
to
it.
just. It does look cool to have like if you could have it like in a shadow box frame on your wall.
Hmm. It's very simple design, but it's so iconic, and I like the design personally, even though it's again it's a little simple, but it's been part of my life for since 1994, since I've seen it.
I think for me, if I think of like somebody in a movie wearing a mask, I immediately go to this movie, and then a close second would be DiCaprio in The Man in the Iron Mask, which, if my memory serves, the part of that actually closes over his face looks kind of similar to the mask in this movie, except his is made out of steel.
Dude, whenever I think of a mask besides this one, I go to the Goosebumps. That was it, the haunted mask
Yep.
with that little girl put on that mask and then she couldn't put it off. That ugly ass, scary ass looking mask.
Yep.
Yeah, because that shit was terrifying as a kid.
Those book
So,
we read those books probably way earlier than we ever should have.
bro, that was our Stephen King,
I mean, I
Mr.
remember
R.L.
being in
Stein.
like grade 3 and 4 and going to the book fair or the Scholastic book orders and getting all my fucking goosebumps and those books. I mean, when you like, obviously now they wouldn't be, but for an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, those books were terrifying.
The books were terrifying. Then the show came out, and that was
Yep.
terrifying. The Goosebump covers, book covers, go way too hard, and that's what like enticed at least me into reading the book. That and we read them in school, so I knew that it was a good series of books to read. But it was just those book covers that really drew me in.
The animation on the book covers was always fantastic. The thing I'll never forget is the raised letters with the bumps on the front covers.
Yeah, yeah, they had different
I,
versions.
I don't know if they do things like that with like kids or young adult novels anymore.
No, because that costs money.
True.
And they just did things in the 90s that were quality that they just don't do now. It's one of them.
Yeah. Now, as we get back into the movie, did you know that there's a deleted scene at the beginning of this movie that obviously is not in it? Have you ever seen it by chance?
I'm sure I have. I do remember going through the DVD special features or and seeing like deleted scenes, but I none come to like my memory. Like I can't recall any of them to be honest. Maybe if I have
So
my memory jogged, but I don't know.
so there were two big ones that were taken out of the movie. The one is right as it starts. It's Vikings
Yes.
rowing to the shore of Edge City, obviously long before it ever becomes Edge City, and they bury the box with the mask in it.
Okay. I like
Which
vaguely remember that.
there's no need for it to be in the movie. I personally, in my opinion, the movie's a touch too long for the age range you're kind of trying to to hit with this movie, but so
That's not bad.
I
Like
think it's a
average.
good thing they cut it out. I think there was a few other things they could have cut out, but that's just my opinion.
Um, I think, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's your opinion. I think the movie was paced pretty well. Um, it didn't drag for me.
No, I'm not
There
saying it
could,
dragged, but
no, no, no,
from
no. I didn't feel it. Like I didn't feel any of the time, but I can understand.
well,
Um, yeah, yeah,
right off the bat, the whole plot line with Dorian trying to like take over the crime business
yeah,
from Nico. I don't think any of that needed to be in it. Nico didn't need to be in the movie at all. It could have just been Dorian wanting like the bank robbery. He just wanted more money. He could have been him who owns the club. Like that's why he gets like Tina to
yeah.
do
They
what she does. Like there was no need for an additional boss
crime
above him.
boss. He could have been the boss. Yeah, I guess they try to add more uh story to his character, but still, it was well not necessary, and it was thin. That whole plot with the gangster takeover thing, it was just so thin and cliche and unnecessary. But I get it. They needed a thing to set up all the gags, and that was the route that they chose.
I mean, the only part with Nico that I even really remembered in this entire movie was the golf ball when he puts the tea in his
Hmm.
mouth. And when I was a
Pretty
kid,
iconic.
that terrified me.
It was pretty scary, and
Especially,
it works well because it shows
well,
you what kind of person he is
and
right off the
especially
bat.
as I got a little bit older and I started watching professional golf and then I started playing golf. For the longest time, every time I would stick a tee into the ground and go to hit the ball, I would think of that scene.
Yeah, because you haven't seen anything like that before or since, really.
No,
So it like sticks in your head out pretty good. Uh, yeah, man, that part was effective when it comes to having, that character in this movie. The only payoff was that scene alone. But
yeah.
yeah, beyond that, again, thin, unnecessary.
Now, to go back to the beginning of the movie, I have a quick question. So these guys who are the scuba divers who are installing a pipeline or whatever it is,
Okay,
the guy who finds the mask initially, is
yeah,
he dead?
I don't think so.
Because that pipe basically lands on him, and then all you see is the mask float to the surface, and we never see him again. I understand that he's not a character and he doesn't matter.
So, so I don't think did the whole thing fall on him, or just like part of it kind of swung and hit him,
It looked
and
like it was.
maybe
It looked like it was coming down, and it was gonna like hit him in the
land on his
chest,
fucking
and then
head.
like slide down, and then almost like pin him to the ground.
It would appear that he got his fucking head crushed by that thing, but it, I guess it's just up to interpretation. 'Cause
It was
anything could happen.
an interesting way to introduce the mask and going like even just character introductions like Stanley immediately obviously that's Jim Carrey's character. From the moment you first see him, he is the most spineless pushover that I
Nice
think
guy. He's a
I
nice
who is
guy.
nice guy shit. Like
Yeah, he's definitely no spine.
no, he gets these
People
concert tickets
pleaser.
for a random coworker who he clearly has a thing for. He's like, "Yeah, well, we're going to go together." And the minute she says, "Well, my friend would want to go," he just basically goes, "That's fine, you take her." But there's no mention of the tickets cost me X amount of dollars, so you can pay me back.
And you know it cost him at least a couple hundred.
No, he's just paying for this woman and her friend to go to a concert that he's not going to be going.
Yeah.
it's
all
weird
because he's
now.
a nice guy. It's like,
You know who's
jeez.
you know who's not a nice guy? Is his buddy Charlie.
He's okay. I mean, he's not a saint.
Who have you ever? So he passed away in 2007. He was played by Richard Jenny, who was a stand-up comedian and one of my personal favorites before he passed away. Do you know anything about his stand-up or anything else he's been in?
All I know is he didn't like stand up. He liked it. He wanted to be the Jim Carrey, but he was exceptional at stand up.
Oh, his
He
stand-up is fantastic.
he should have just leaned into that, but he just didn't want that. He wanted the limelight. He wanted the spotlight. He wanted to be Jim Carrey, and I don't know if that led to anything, whatever, but it didn't happen for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's all I know of him.
I will say, anybody who's listening, if you like stand-up comedy, if you're able to find, whether it be on YouTube or wherever, it's called Richard Jenny, A Big Steaming Pile of Me. It's probably from the early 2000s. It is an absolutely hysterical stand-up special.
And he like sounds like he would be a stand-up comedian, just like his voice. I don't know if that's his natural voice, just how he talks,
It
how he talks
is.
in the movie in real life. But he
Yeah,
has
that's his
that
voice.
cadence. He has a cadence of a stand-up comedian.
I didn't remember him being as creepy as as creepy in this movie as he is. Because when we get the introductions for them, we
He's a little
get,
creepy.
I mean, what an introduction scene for Cameron Diaz in her first ever acting
Bro,
role.
the world fell in love or had a crush on Cameron Diaz in that scene. The world.
In
Everyone who laid
the
their
whole movie, I
eyes
would
on her.
say.
Absolutely, but it was that scene with her in that red dress that started it. So many young men stopped playing with their toys.
There was an awakening.
Toys weren't interesting anymore when they seen that scene of her going into that bank for the first time in that red dress.
And I didn't realize, so obviously Richard Jenny wants to be the one to help her because the level of attractiveness. And when she says, like, she's going to go with Stanley and gives him her coat, he
I
literally
mean,
puts his
yeah,
whole face in this thing and inhales like it's a
it's
Thanksgiving
creepy
turkey.
now. It's definitely creepy now, but I think it's just one, yeah. Was it creepy then? Not so much.
I
Not
mean,
considered creepy,
it
but
wasn't to
more of
me. I was a
like
kid.
infatuation. But not creepy. Now it's a little creepy.
There's a whole lot of there's a lot of things with this movie, like just the typical tropes. Like he's the creepy best friend. Then you've got the borderline criminal mechanics and the overbearing landlord.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah. And it makes sense when you know that this is based off a comic book.
yes,
And it definitely shows throughout the entire city, Edge City. It has a comic book look to it when you ever see the establishing shots of the city.
it really
And
does.
the occupants are very much comic book people, especially like the criminals of the city are very much comic book like bad guys, gangsters. So it
Yeah.
makes sense that even the mechanics would be, you know,
Yeah,
almost cartoonish, comic book like.
and so we get Richard Jenny wants to take him out to this new club in town.
Yeah. What was it? Bango? What was it called?
The Coco Bongo Club.
Yeah, I love that damn club. I
Now,
wish I could go there
but there's nothing to it.
live. I like the aesthetic to it. I like the music. The music was pumping.
But
I liked it.
It's just a lounge band, like you. So
Yeah, I know.
when,
But I
when
like
he
the music.
was like, obviously, when I was a kid, He's like, "Oh, we're going to go to this place." I had no idea what the hell that meant. I was 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever. But if I
Yeah.
was watching a movie now and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to go to the newest club in town," whatever, I'm going to be thinking, okay, it's like a dance club. It's a place where you can actually do things. Well, when they show the interior of this, it's just everybody sitting at a table and watching one woman sing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's just the aesthetic that they chose for the city, because the city almost seems like it's stuck between 1930 or 40 and the 1990s.
Yeah.
Um, and that definitely shows in the club that's the most popular club in town, because it's definitely reminiscent more of a club from the 1930s as opposed to the 1990s.
Yeah, I did get that vibe. Um, when Stanley finds the mask off the edge of the bridge, I know that they wanted to make it look this way, but I'm sorry. That thing that he sees in the water looks nothing like a person.
I never thought it looked like a person. I always just thought it looked like a pile of garbage. And I could never make out the shape of the person
Neither could
until
I.
now. Now, because I'm an adult, uh, I never could before. This is the first time I actually make it out. Oh, okay, he actually sees a person. I'm not going crazy. But no, even then, it just looks like not a person, but like a doll or something with like a, some type of doll-like figure, not a
Yeah.
person.
The odd thing with this movie is I remember it being number one. I remember it being a lot funnier than it was this watch, and what I realized is during this watch, if Stanley isn't wearing the mask, it's kind of a serious movie. Like
Yeah,
there's very few jokes. There's very few Jim Carreyisms until he puts that mask on. He's just
yeah.
straight. I work at a bank. I come home. My landlord gives me shit, which I gotta talk about that in a minute. Then I go in my apartment. I play with my dog. I watch cartoons. I go to bed. Like it's a very regimented type lifestyle, and it's very un Jim Carrey like. And I completely forgot about that aspect. I just assumed, oh yeah, Jim Carrey movie. It's going to be funny start to finish.
Mm-mm. Mostly because, the character Stanley Ipkiss, he's boring, he's uninteresting, he's
He's a
lame,
child.
and he's really into cartoons.
I get okay. You and I are both into comics, cartoons,
Oh, yeah. Anime.
all kinds of nerdy things, but it doesn't define who we are. If you look at this man's apartment, he has his lamps are like cartoon characters. He has prints of Porky Pig and Daffy Duck above his bed.
Oh, but
He
wait, but
come
wait.
he comes home after a long hard day at work and just pops in a VHS of the same probably cartoons that he's watched a, a billion times instead of putting literally anything else on the television.
Oh yeah, you get a clue of how much he likes cartoons from, I think, one of the earlier
The
scenes in the
drawer,
movie. Yeah, when
yeah,
he
I
opens
noticed
the
that
drawer,
too.
and there's like Porky Pig and shit like that, something like that.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, you instantly know he's into comic books. And then he goes to his apartment and you see more and more cartoon stuff.
and that's me. I'm fine with having him like cartoons, but like I said, they use it to almost define his entire character, unless
They're
he's at
do
the bank.
yeah, they're doing it to explain his cartoonish manner as the mask.
Because I was saying, when he becomes the mask, he is nothing but a cartoon.
He is a living, one of the most true to life, true come to life uh, Looney Tune characters. It's one of the most accurate depictions you'll ever find. Because
And
he is, yeah,
oddly,
he is Bugs Bunny.
and oddly enough, Chuck Russell, the director, was basically quoted as saying, when Jim Carrey was hired onto the movie, their CGI budget dropped considerably because Jim Carrey was able to maneuver his body in almost cartoon like ways for when he is the mask. There are certain times where that's not CGI, that's just Jim Carrey doing wild shit with his body control.
Yeah, that and his facial expressions. I'm pretty sure Jim Carrey early in his career was maybe there is an actor. I don't know if it's Jim Carrey for sure, but is known as the man with a thousand faces.
It
And
very well could be.
I'm pretty sure Jim
Because
Carrey
another
was
thing
called
I
that.
read was most of the most of if not all the scenes with him as the mask, he was supposed to be silent because those
The teeth,
gigantic fake teeth that he wears when he's the
big ass
mask,
teeth.
you couldn't do anything, but Jim Carrey basically forced himself to practice so that he would be able to talk with those teeth in, which brought a whole new level of dimension to the character.
Yeah, 'cause now I can talk and have lines and do stuff as the mask instead of being silent. Yeah. That definitely would have completely changed the movie if he wasn't able to speak as the mask with those teeth. That'd have been terrible.
Because really, the only funny parts in the movie are when he is the mask, and a lot of it is from his dialogue. In my opinion,
Mostly, I'm gonna give shout out to the MVP of the movie, Milo. He had some comedic parts too,
Milo's awesome.
and he's the MVP. And any of the other funny scenes besides that is credited to Milo doing his thing.
Now, I do have a question. So, in the movie, they say that this mask could probably, they don't guarantee it, but probably could be an homage, or Jim Carrey thinks that he's trapped inside of it, to the Norse god Loki. Not the Marvel
Yep.
Comics Loki, the actual god.
Yes.
Now, when he puts this on, does the mask let out his inner id personality? Does the mask almost possess him? Or is it a little of both? And also, he becomes magic and can just create things out of thin air?
I think it just gives it
This is
pretty
why it's a
much.
kid's movie, because kids don't question this shit.
Well, Jim explained it. It just brings out your innermost desires. So, Jim
But
wanted
that
to be a confident, pretty
sex
much
maniac.
cartoonish, yeah, like a living cartoon, but with confidence and knows who he is and knows what he wants and does what he wants when he wants and doesn't answer to anybody because his life is almost the opposite of that. When he puts on the mask, all of that comes out because it's also explained almost with Ben Stein early when he switches off the cartoon, Jim Carrey's character and his family.
Sometimes we all wear masks.
And I think that what almost explains Jim Carrey's character because he is kind of wearing a mask before he wears a mask. This mask that he's wearing is being a people pleaser and
Yeah.
presenting himself to where he's accepted in society and not going to his desires, which he wants to be that type of person, but
So
he
he's like
can't.
Batman, where the
Kinda,
mask
yeah.
is his real self and his
It helps,
mask
yeah.
is
In a
his normal
way,
face.
it helps bring out his real self. Because I hope his real self isn't the mask, because he does some crazy shit in this in this
Dude,
movie.
at one point he's a
Include almost raping someone
at one point he's a sexual predator. And
who
we'll get there.
falls in love with them after. Anyway, yeah, we'll get into that.
But what I'm asking is, he then has the magic because when he confronts the thugs on the street, he turns a balloon animal into a real gun.
I love that scene. I love that scene because those I guess, thugs or whatever they are, turn into kids instantly, man. And he's doing the balloons
The
for them, and
the fun
he
for me, the
the
funniest
fuck
part of that
he
is
destroys the fucking
when he
poodle.
does the poodle and he just rips it apart. And he goes, "Sorry, son, the dog was rabid. Had to put it down."
I feel like that was probably improv. I can almost guarantee that was probably improv.
I do know that pulling a used condom out of his pocket was improv.
I never knew what that was as a kid. I just thought
Me
it was a
either.
wet balloon.
Same. I was like, "That's a fucking messed up balloon that he just pulled out."
I was like,
Fast
oh, why is it
forward,
wet?
fast forward to me, almost 40 years old. That's a used condom.
And like, it's crazy because I don't know if they were trying to pay homage to the character he is in the comics. Because when he first puts on the mask, he does some crazy shit that his comic counterpart might do, but he
It,
just
well,
doesn't take it. He doesn't take it as far as his comic book character,
I
but
was
he
gonna say
does
his
comes close. He comes close.
Yeah, I was gonna say his comic book character would have gone a little further. His comic book character would have killed those people, and then
Yeah, he would have shoved the things to his ass and it would have killed those guys. But no, he
well,
just
he would have
shoved it to
shoved
the butt.
those mufflers up their asses, and they would have came out their mouths.
Exactly. And he would have murdered his the manager of the building with the hammer or something.
Who? Okay, I
It would
need
have
to
been
talk
crazy.
about her. Now, you and I have both lived in rental apartments before.
Mhm.
Have you ever had a landlord question you as to why you're home late?
No,
Like, she comes out of her door and she's like, "Do you have any idea what
immediately.
time it is that you're coming home?" And it's like, "You're not his
Huh?
mother."
Does he not pay rent there?
I can understand her getting upset about like the mud on the carpet, but
Which I have to question that too.
I,
Like,
I
how
mean,
are you? Huh? I don't.
at least that I can understand she'd be upset about that. But to be like, "Do you have any idea what time it is? How could you be coming home at this hour?" It's like, well, he's an adult, so I'm pretty sure he can
Grown
come
ass
home
man.
anytime he wants.
Yeah. Which anybody
I,
would say that. They would bring that up.
unless he's living in like some halfway house probation house, there's no need for that.
I think it's just one of those things to just establish that Stanley
He's a
doesn't have a
bitch.
spine. Because anybody else would have cleared that up the moment she would have said something. And she
Yeah,
wouldn't have said anything back. But because Stanley allows her to continue to bully him, she's going to keep doing it
yeah.
until, she meets the mask.
And I guess the way it works out, you only get like, I think it's only 3 nights that he actually has the mask on. I thought it
Yeah, it
was a
seemed,
lot more than that when I was a kid.
no, I knew like the movie took place within like a weekend. It to me, I felt like that. It seemed like that to me.
Yeah, because the first night you get this the thugs, the violation, I guess, of the mechanics. And then the second night is the night you get. He does the bank robbery. He goes to the club. He puts on a dancing
Yeah,
performance that apparently Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz did a lot of that dance themselves, which is rather impressive.
yeah, as they should, because that song was dope. I love that song. That's one of the
Yeah,
like I love that song ever since I first heard. I just love that style, that like
the
that kind of
ska
jazz,
swing
that
music.
that like that swing, yeah, that swing type of music. I love it, and I think it started from this movie. I wouldn't even doubt it.
Well, I mean, obviously, swing music is a very old genre of music. Like they were listening to that during World War II, but
Hmm.
there was a big upswing of it in the '90s. There were several different swing and ska bands,
Hmm.
that kind of
There was a thing called a New Jack Swing where
yeah,
it
there
was
was a
like
movement
boys to
of it in the
men.
90s.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah. It had a little run there.
I will say that it's one of my favorite lines in the movie, and it always has been when the guys are about to go in to do the bank robbery, and Dorian calls him, and he's like, "Yeah, I just want to make sure everything's good, this and that." And the guy who's like in charge of the robbery goes, "The doctor is about to operate." I don't know why. It's always been one of my favorite lines in this movie because it just sounds so ridiculous coming out of an adult villain's mouth.
It's very like Saturday morning cartoon villain, comic book gangster line for sure. But coming out of his voice, I just like the actor's voice.
That deep
He's
baritone.
yeah, yeah, he's popped up in things. I didn't realize it was that actor till
Yeah,
rewatching it, but he's been in tons of things,
yeah, I've
and
seen him
mostly
in
because
quite a
of his
few.
voice, and a lot because of his voice. He has just a crazy, smooth, deep voice.
And I mean the guy who's been this is now um, his second appearance on the podcast. Peter Green, R.I.P., passed away last December. He was also. Do you remember what other movie we've done with him in it?
Blue Streak,
Hell
hell yeah!
yeah!
And he's been
But
in things like I think he was in Oz, the show Oz, the
I
HBO
never
show
watched
Oz.
it.
Um, he's been in quite he's had a long career. It just sucks that he passed at such a young age.
I mean, I definitely
Um,
recognize him. I've seen him in quite a few things.
I when I think of him, I think of this and Blue Streak. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's what I didn't realize until watching it this time. This could just be me, and this could just be something my brain does, but to me, he looks remarkably similar to Killian Murphy.
I could see it.
At least in this movie, not so much in Blue
They could be
Streak.
like cousins or brothers.
But like, I kept like I recently just started watching Peaky Blinders, and when they would show him, I just kept saying like, put that old timey hat on his head. I could see him fitting right in that show, like as Killian Murphy's character.
Yeah, no, yeah. I did a quick search. It wasn't Oz. I recognized him in a police uniform or a security uniform. It wasn't Oz. He was in Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what I recognized. Yeah, yeah. So that's the other movie that I associate when I see him. It's Pulp Fiction.
But I don't, and I mean, in my recollection, I don't know if Peter Green has ever played a good guy.
I'm sure with his long career, at some point he did, but he looks like a villain.
Yeah,
Some
he just has a menacing
actors just
scowl.
have a look to them and they lean in on the part and they're able to pull it off on screen. Yeah, it shows in this one, man. He's the perfect like it's called Edge City, but it's basically like a New York, Chicago like city, or it's
Yeah,
basically like a Goth or Gotham.
it's a metropolis type big city.
Yeah, he's definitely the ideal stereotypical gangster of a city like that. But he pulls it off, man.
No, I
There's
think he
no
does a great
like
job.
there's not much depth to his character or there's not much backstory of who he is or anything, but for what it is, I enjoyed it.
I really don't think there's any depth to almost any character.
Especially coming from a comic book property. No. Um, and they didn't have to. This is not the movie that that needs that for a character.
Now,
But
I didn't do enough research into the comic. I didn't read enough of it. I don't know if any of these characters are recurring in the comic book or if it's just
me
Stanley.
neither. I don't know. No, me
I
neither.
probably should have looked, but
From being such a departure from the original source, maybe one or two, but I'm gonna assume they're all original characters. Maybe Dorian, just because he's like the central bad guy, but I don't know.
Yeah. Now, some of the stuff that Jim Carrey does as the Mask didn't really work for me, and some of that stuff is the overly exaggerated cartoon bits, like when he's in the Coco Bongo and he does the Tex Avery Wolf and the
I
heart
like
beating out of his
I like that.
chest.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I
I
liked
kind of
it.
I
I
kind
liked
of
just
got a
because that's
chuckle,
just
but nothing near what I did when I was a little kid.
yeah, yeah. No, I still enjoyed it. I just like that aesthetic, that era, those type of things associated with that period and the cartoons that it's paying homage to and referencing. Um, so it didn't bother me. I
Now,
still enjoyed it.
now immediately after that, when they do the dance number to that song we were talking about, that part is
Yeah,
fantastic.
hell yeah. And like, yeah. I love how this entire movie, nobody is really questioning the fact that the mask has like reality shaping abilities. They all kind of just accept it
Yeah.
because he's altering reality like Wanda Maximoff, and no one's freaking the hell out.
Well, he throws her in the air, and she just does flips suspended in midair,
Yeah, she does like
and
100
nobody seems
flips
to
in
bat an
3
eye.
seconds. Yeah, and that's throughout the movie. No one's really questioning that aspect of the mask. But okay, just gonna go with it.
I mean,
But
if
yeah,
we
no,
get
that scene is great. The choreography, the song, everything that led up to it, everything that follows it was great.
I now the stuff that I did find funny is afterwards when they shoot, quote unquote, shoot him, and he does all the different stages of dying, and then he does the Sally Field "You Love Me" when she won her Academy Award.
That's so funny. I love the part where he keeps coughing and then he coughs in the dude's
On the guy's face,
that one guy, I don't know his name, but he is the most memorable villain, all because he's got a
the
fucking
hair.
ponytail. That's
He
it.
he
I'll never
just
forget that guy.
he just has a ponytail, no hair
That's
anywhere else on
it.
his head.
No, no character, no personality, but just a look and
No,
a hairstyle.
all
And
you
I'll
get
never
out of
forget him.
him, all you get out of him is anytime he shoots, like that time when he shoots and hits the
One eye is
mask.
closed.
He shoots and hits the mask, and he just goes, huh. And then later in the
Yeah,
movie, when they empty their clips when he's behind the bar, it's the same thing. His clip empties, and he just kind of goes, huh, and has a smile on his face. That's all he
yeah.
does.
No charisma, no personality at all.
But I will
They
never
used him
forget the
because he.
man.
No, I'll never forget him. That's the first white guy that has I've ever seen rock that type of hairstyle.
And yet
Bald,
somehow it
bald with
works.
the ponytail,
Somehow it
bald, and
works
it
on him.
works. It works on him. That is wild. Yeah, but
That's
no,
gonna be I think that's gonna be my next Halloween costume. I'm just gonna shave my head, buy a ponytail, and glue it to the back of my head.
yeah, and you can't talk. You gotta just do
And
grunts,
no one will have
smile.
any idea who I am.
So looking at you like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Like, yeah, remember that movie from 30 years ago? This random, like, tertiary character? I'm him.
I'm surprised he didn't pop up in other movies too. Like
He's been in other
usually,
things.
but with that hairstyle,
I don't know about the hairstyle, but
that's
I
what I'm
looked him up
saying.
on IMDb, and he has been in other things.
I'm sure he has, but he should have like just continue with that look because that could have carried him. That could have boosted his career a little bit if he just carried that hairstyle for a while because that was memorable. He could have been in so many different movies. He
Yeah.
probably is, but you don't remember him because he didn't have that hairstyle.
Yeah, I just have written other Dorian's henchman. What a haircut!
Yeah, and yep.
Now, I know we're kind of glossing over a lot of the stuff that happens to Stanley when he is Stanley, and the main reason of that is because a lot of it is inconsequential to the story, except for the fact that there's a detective who is convinced that he's behind all this, and surprise, surprise, he's right. But other than that part of the story, there's not really much to it because the detective is chasing him whether he's Stanley or whether he's the mask. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and they don't really explore too much of Stanley's life, anyways. You're following his.
No, and the only part that you really get any um, any catharsis from him is when he shows up and his boss, who looks like he's about 10 years younger than him, goes to give him
And they
shit because he's late again, and he just snaps on him. And he's like, if you keep doing this, I'm going to tell your daddy that you're running this place like your own personal piggy bank. And the guy kind of shuts up and walks away. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
he's starting to come out of his shell, but that's all you really get out of it.
yeah. He's out of his shell because he's highly stressed and stuff like that, and but yeah, you eventually will fully come out of his shell and become the person he always wanted to be. But yeah, that was the owner or the manager, whatever, of the bank. When you first see him, you know right off the bat this guy is just an asshole. He has an asshole face. He
And
has an
he's just on a
asshole face.
massive power trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. They cast a good actor to play that daddy's boy,
Yeah.
spoiled
Because
fucking asshole.
it's like he's on a power trip to the point where he like gets off on it.
I
Like,
wouldn't doubt that he does. He seems like he definitely does some creepy, freaky shit when it comes to power,
well,
because he can.
speaking of creepy, freaky shit, Cameron Diaz shows up, wants to talk to Stanley because she wants to arrange a
Oh my
meeting
God.
with the mask, which Stanley basically says like, "Oh, I kind of know him. We went to college together." Okay, this is this is the scene they meet in, and I had to write this down
Landfill Park.
because it sounds like the place you really want to hang out at Landfill Park.
I seen that. I was like, there's no way anybody. That's probably why it's empty, because no
Well,
one's being there.
and she
Or maybe
she
they're all affected by the
well,
radiation.
well Cameron Diaz even says, "I forget that this place used to be a pile of garbage."
Oh,
I'm
so it
like,
used to be a landfill.
what did you do with the garbage? Nothing. You just built over top of it. I guarantee it.
Okay. Sure. I mean, where they're at looked fine, but I'm sure the rest of the park is just looks awful.
Well, this whole scene looks awful because he literally turns into a sexual predator.
He turns into Pep. I think
He does. It's
they
Pepe
might
Le
have been
Pew.
going. Yeah, they were going for a Pepe the Pew, obviously, just because he's French and Pepe the Pew is
So,
a French character. So, but it doesn't work. 2026.
oh God.
That's very creepy. He
And
and
I,
it, if she didn't fight back, he would have just basically raped her. Like you're only gonna
that's
escalate once you start kissing her.
that's where it was heading.
100%.
And I didn't get this because, again, I was a kid when I saw this, so these lines went right over my head. But I had to rewind them and write these down.
Mm.
So he said, first of all, he grabs her and like dips her down, and he says to her, "Kiss me, and I'll reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate, and I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise."
Hmm.
This is a kids' movie?
True, but you don't know
Well,
what the fuck he's saying.
kid-ish.
That's a kid. The kid, you don't know what the fuck he's saying, but you
Well,
know he's kind of being like Pepe the Pew. So as a kid, you're like, he wants to kiss her. As an adult,
okay,
you're like, okay, this is
I'm
wrong in so many
the
ways.
but the difference that I would say is the way that Pepe Le Pew's character is he thinks that the cat who has the paint on her is a fellow skunk. Jim Carrey knows who this is.
Mm-hmm.
He's interacted with her without the mask on.
Mm-hmm. But
It,
again, his innermost desire is to bang her. So the mask is gonna do it in a way that,
the mask doesn't care about consent apparently.
I mean, the mask is from an ancient time where they didn't have things like that.
True,
They,
they had prima nocta.
you just took it, unfortunately. So it was just a product of its time, the mask is.
But
So
what's funny is they go from that whole very uncomfortable scene
it's so
to
uncomfortable.
immediately right back into the kids' jokes because the cops show up and they tell him to freeze, and he literally freezes solid. And then
Hmm.
and then they do the gag of all the stuff in his pockets, and then he goes right into the Cuban Pete scene. So again, it's right back to the gags that kids are going to find funny.
But even with when they're searching stuff out of his pocket, there's still some, if you're a kid, there's some things that'll go over your head,
Yeah,
especially with the picture of the guy's wife and
picture of
stuff
his
like that. You
wife.
don't realize how much, personal that would be.
Well,
Uh,
and on it it
yeah.
says, I believe it says "call me lover" and a phone number.
Hmm. Which is like, how does he know what his wife look like? Oh, that shit's crazy. The
Yeah,
power of the mask is OP, and what follows this scene proves it. Because his ability to infect, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 people, I don't know how many cops were there, but
infect is a good word.
he infected everyone. And he got them to do what he wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Going against their own will. Doing that to so many people at once, wow, that mask is in the wrong hands. That could be one of the most dangerous things on, on the planet.
Well, it's about to be in the wrong hands because while this is all going down, Dorian has put out a $50,000 bounty, which I had to laugh because I was like, if this movie was made nowadays, it wouldn't be a penny less than $1 million.
Wait, 50,000 could went a long way back then.
A
Almost.
hell of a lot longer. You can buy a whole house almost.
Oh yeah, especially in the States, especially probably in Edge City, you could probably get a good property for cheap.
Yeah, but he puts out this bounty, and as Stanley's escaping, there's a character we haven't really talked about. It's Amy Yazbek's Peggy. She's a journalist, and she's very much on Stanley's side. She thinks he's a great guy. She used to write a column that he wrote into, and yada yada, so on and so forth. They have really touching moments together, and she shows up to save him, but she actually just turned him in for the $50,000 reward, which is an odd thing to do because there's not, again, like most people in this movie, there's not really much fleshed out about her character, but she goes from this really sweet, innocent journalist to all of a sudden, yeah, I'm just turning you over to the bad guys and I'm going to take the money and run.
Yeah, it was a quick change, and
And
it doesn't really pay off because there wasn't enough time spent to really care about this character to where her turn meant anything. So it
well,
kind of, it just needed it was needed to further the plot, and she was there and then she left. And that's pretty much it.
well, would you be surprised to know if this was where the big deleted scene number two came in.
Okay. I mean, it
So,
makes sense. Seems
and
like
this would have,
things were missing.
well, this would have brought it back to more like the comics because the deleted scene actually is instead of giving Peggy the money, they throw her into the paper press and
Mm.
actually her face comes out printed on a piece of paper.
Oh, jeez.
So she's dead, but that didn't work with test audiences and they decided to change like take that scene out because they were hoping they would be able to do a sequel and they wanted to bring her back for whatever reason. So that was taken out and they just gave her the money
Uh,
and wrote her off the rest of the movie.
I mean, they still should have killed her, but they didn't have to do it in such a cartoony way. They could have just shot her,
Yeah.
and
I
that
mean they could have also thrown her in the paper press and just been like that takes care of that problem. You don't need to show the violence,
oh yeah, yeah,
just kind of allude to it.
just yeah, it just shows you the cruelty or brutality of your villains, which makes for a better payoff when they lose in the end.
Yeah. Now
So
this
I
so this could be something that might be a little wrong with me. When I watch some of these types of movies, I tend to not so much side with the villains, but I find them a lot of times more entertaining than the protagonists.
oh jeez,
And when Dorian puts the mask on, I think I don't know what it is. I can't stop laughing because
it's the way he's
it's
talking.
the deep voice, it's the over the topness, it's
It's
so much that
it's
it
how he's
just makes me
saying these
chuckle.
things. Yes, certain lines that he says, the way he says it is, yeah, it's kind of funny because with that modulated voice, it just you can't take what he's saying as serious.
Yeah,
Even though
like
he looks scary as shit. I like the look of him.
yeah. And they just instead of killing Stanley, they decide they're going to turn him into the police station with a rubber mask, and no, they figure okay, that'll take care of that. Until the very next night, he plans on going out wearing said mask.
Yeah, but maybe he's not that. I don't really know. He would have took over the whole city in that one night or something. I have no idea.
I don't
I
know,
don't
but
know.
this,
He was kind of just free balling his those plans there. Didn't really have much of a
but
sort of thinking ahead.
this is where you mentioned the MVP of the movie earlier. This is where he really shines when Stanley's in prison. Milo is fantastic.
Oh yeah, and like throughout the movie before you get to that part, he's he, he's kind of annoying, especially. I mean, he's a charming dog, but him always holding on to the items
He's
and his
very
and
rambunctious.
yeah.
Don't he? Jim Carrey's always telling him, "Don't jump up."
So before he becomes the MVP, he kind of is just almost like an annoying, charming but annoying dog.
Yeah, and I love when Jim Carrey just leans out the window and he's like, "I know people do this with their pets, and I always find it cute in movies when they do this." But he just starts talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, remember all that stuff I said about not jumping? Forget it. I need you to jump up here, Milo. Jump up to this window that's what, probably 10 feet off the ground."
The thing is a good distance. Yeah,
And the
I wouldn't
dog
doubt it.
fucking scales it.
After a few attempts, yeah, he definitely gets it. But that's not it. That's not it. He's still got more work to do.
You gotta get the keys. Get the keys.
You mean the cheese?
No, not the cheese. Get the keys. I don't know who trained this dog, but the fact that he didn't eat the cheese and then go for the keys, I was shocked.
Yeah, you could tell like the person that's instructing him is on their shit because that's a well-trained dog.
Yeah.
That dog, if you tell the dog not to eat the cheese, it's not gonna eat the cheese.
And I think my favorite part of the quote unquote Milo dog acting is when he's pulling the keys out of the cop's pocket and the cop kind of shifts in his sleep. The dog literally stops, like, uh oh. And he's looking at him kind of side eyed, like, am I good to pull these again? Is he going to wake up? Like somehow a dog taking keys out of a police officer's pocket, the dog is able to create tension,
Hmm.
which is a sentence I never thought I would say.
I mean, certain dogs can pull it off. And as a 90s kid, we haven't really gotten that much. I mean, we had like Homeward Bound and things like that, but uh, Milo was just one of those dogs that was part of our lives that definitely was just well trained and iconic.
Yeah, he was
And
great. And he
yeah,
helps him break out of prison. Not, but not before he has to kidnap the detective who arrested him. And
mm,
forces him to go with him to, of course, the Coco Bongo Club because they're doing
because
this
it's the
big.
club.
Now it's a casino night for some charity,
Yeah,
and Dorian is going to put his mask, but put the mask on and rob it. This is the part that I like. Dorian is the mask when he catches the bullets in his body.
which is the only mask thing he does. Like when Dorian has the mask, it's so unimaginative because
It's
he's
more
a
just
fucking
menacing with the look and the voice.
yeah. Because he's not a living cartoon like Stanley and Fishman in the Mask. It's a different personality, so he's not going to do the same things.
No,
And
he's a psychotic murderer.
yeah, and that's exactly what he does. He murders somebody.
But that when he
Point
sucks the
blank.
bullets into his mouth and then he open and you can see them in there and then literally fires them at Nico out of his mouth. I've always thought that was such a cool scene.
Yeah, and for the most part, the CG
It holds up.
holds up, which is wild. That's a wild thing to see because there's movies that are in the 2000s that don't hold up CGI wise. So for something from 1994 to hold up, it's a testament to a really good special effects team.
Yeah. Now this whole end scene when obviously Stanley comes and they tie Tina up. They're gonna put a bomb. They're robbing all these people. Stanley shows up to save him. We have to have this last confrontation. She gets him to take the mask off to kiss her one last time, and she's able to kick it out of his hand to dislodge it. And then it's like a game of hot potato. The thugs are trying to grab it. Milo ends up catching it out of the air, catching it
Yeah,
because
MVP. That was
you
the
see
MVP
earlier
mobile.
he's trained to catch a frisbee. But then Milo
Hmm.
puts the mask on.
Hmm. A lot of
And,
people's like one of the at the time is peop one of people's favorite scenes.
oh, I loved it. The funny thing is though, his teeth are are longer than his torso is thick.
Hmm. Yeah, because I guess he has residual cartoonish core center to himself because his owner is very much so because he does some cartoonish shit. He does some Muttley from like Wacky Races. He
Yes.
does that kind of laugh, and I love that laugh. That like very uh I guess like a guttural
It's like
type
a
laugh.
wheezy laugh.
It's a wheezy, yeah, like a wheezy type laugh. my favorite kind of laugh. And yeah, I recognized it instantly when he did it. And I guess yeah, when he puts on the mask, he is also a cartoon.
Well, but it's also like he says it brings out your inner self. The way Milo looks with the I forget what they're called, but like the pointed ears, it almost looks like he thinks he's half like Doberman or something.
Yeah, probably, maybe. Yeah, I was really paying attention to the ears, but
And he goes from like the growling to the smile, but it's the same
that's
look. He just tilts his head.
smile. Yeah, that's a crazy animal smile. Like, oh, he's crazy. Milo's
Oh,
crazy.
he's nuts.
Some of the man, those were crazy looks he was giving.
If you thought Jim Carrey was manic, this dog is on a whole other level.
Hmm.
But I do like when he goes back to Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey is about to take the mask off him and he's like, wow, this has got to be some kind of a new breed.
Yeah, imagine.
And this is where, like, he saves the day by being a cartoon. Because he puts the mask back on, he swallows the bomb. No, sorry. First, he paints the flush handle, a very Bugs Bunny Roadrunner type gag.
I think he does it after.
A what?
I think he does the bomb first.
Was the bomb first when he the spicy
Yeah, because
meatball?
he has to run over there because it's like 2 seconds before
That's right.
it explodes. And then before that, he does the gag with the giant guns and does like the Clint Eastwood,
Do you
I
feel
forget what,
lucky?
yeah, it was it Dirty
Yeah.
Harry line.
And they also and all the barrels have the flag come out that says bang.
That could have easily have been real guns if he wanted to. He just so he wanted that to not to be
Yeah,
taken
he
as a
only
gag.
uses real guns against thugs in an alleyway, not guys who are actually actively trying to kill him.
And even then, he wasn't trying to kill anybody when he was using a
No,
weapon.
he was scared.
Those probably weren't even real bullets. They were probably blanks. Because, Jim Carrey, when he has the mask, Stanley Ipkiss, he's not a murderer. He doesn't want to
No.
kill people. He just wants to be a cartoon like a Bugs Bunny. He does Bugs Bunny shit.
And speaking of Bugs Bunny, he paints a flush handle, and that's how he gets rid of Dory. And he comes in the water and he hits the handle, and it basically turns this little pond thing into a toilet,
That's
and
insane.
down the drain he goes.
I always thought he died because,
The
not
knife?
because he got flush, he did the knife.
Yeah, I thought that too when I was younger. Because they make a very big point that the knife comes out, flips, and then goes point down into the water.
Hmm.
I always
But,
thought the
okay,
same
he
thing.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's not a whole lot of substance to this movie because we basically get the ending. He saves the day. Charlie comes in with the police that he's gone to get, and they want to arrest Stanley, but if the mayor, of course, who's never appeared before a second in the movie, he's like, no, Dory and Tyrell was the mask. This man just saved our lives. And the cop's like, well, nothing I can do about that. I guess you're free to go, even though we had your fingerprints on the like some of the money. We had video surveillance, which even though the mask is green, it's clearly you on film.
Yeah.
But you have to have that happy ending, and happy ending, he gets the girl. They get rid of the
One thing
mask. Sorry, go
why?
ahead.
Why?
Why do they get rid of it?
Why?
I,
You already know what happens when you put the mask in the wrong hands. Why
you
would you
put
throw
that.
it away?
You go and you
The
buy
greatest weapon on earth.
you buy the most secure safe you can find, and you put that mask in there so that only you have access to it, no one else.
Exactly. No, I'm just gonna throw in the ocean that my
Which,
dog is probably gonna get. I'm allow my dog to go into said ocean after I threw the mask to
well, yeah,
retrieve it.
so they're on a bridge. Now they're at least probably 50 to 60 feet above this water. Are you telling me that both Richard Jenny
Yeah,
and the dog jump off of this bridge to get this mask,
I
and
would.
neither one
I
are
would.
injured? But neither one of them are even remotely injured, and Milo gets the mask and just swims away. We get the good guy wins, gets the girl, end of movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. It's just,
There's not much. I mean, not a whole lot of resolve. Not a whole lot of things to get resolved. Like we don't know anything that happens to Dorian, or even
we
Stanley
assume he's
Ipkiss.
dead.
I guess that the mayor vouched for him, so he is off the hook for all his crimes and shit. But
Yeah, I don't know.
when it comes to like the crime aspect of it, we don't really know get much resolve from that. So it kind of seemed like the movie just decided to end, and yeah, sure, you're gonna go, let's do it. It still feels it's unsatisfying ending just because there's questions we still have about certain characters.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we don't get that answered because this was the only one they made. I have never seen Son of the Mask, and I never will see Son of the
Oh, you
Mask.
never seen it?
No,
Yeah,
and I
it's
never will.
uh, the only good thing to come out of that movie is the fact that uh, Alan Cumming was Loki in that movie. He played a good
Oh,
Loki.
okay, I'm fine with that because I love Alan Cumming.
He was a good Loki. That's the only thing you could watch that movie. Like I could recommend watching that movie is the scenes
Maybe
that he's in.
maybe I'll just look up his scenes on YouTube,
Yeah, hey, there you go.
and then I'll watch
There
the
you go.
real Jamie Kennedy movie, Malibu's Most Wanted,
Ooh.
or Kicking It Old School.
Oh, I'd rather watch. God damn.
Yes, they're bad.
I watch Malibu's Most Wanted and Kicking. I've seen both of those.
So have I.
Malibu's definitely better, and that's not saying much.
No, but that's going to bring us to the end of the mask, and unless you have something else that you want to talk about, we can move into our final thoughts.
Let's see.
I think I've exhausted all of.
Oh yeah, the fact that fucking Cameron Diaz's character even fell in love with Jim Carrey or Stanley Ipkiss
I,
after the fact that she would go to jail to confirm that he's the mask and not slap him or tell
I
him,
know,
you almost raped me. No, she falls in love with him.
but you know
Like
what?
that doesn't make sense.
That same logic can be put forth in another movie that I consider a perfect movie, and that's Back to the Future. You have Biff in that movie basically about to basically rape Lorraine, and then
Yeah,
George saves her, and then at the end of the movie, they're still allowing him to come around. Granted, they're employing him as like washing and
yeah.
detailing their cars, but you still have to see him on a regular basis. I'm sorry, not gonna happen.
Very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Um, yeah, that was very
But
questionable.
yeah, she's able to fall in love with Jim Carrey because of the things he did as the Mask, except for the Predator stuff.
Hmm. She just
What did she think? That was just a
kept this.
lapse in judgment for the day?
She knew that he was. She understood he was pretending to be Pepe the Pew, and she was in. She understood.
He just had an off day. I'll let that one slide.
She knows. She's like, you were playing. You didn't mean all those things. You were really trying to pin me down and make out with me. That would definitely escalate into worse things.
No, not at all. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that part. And you mentioned Ben Stein, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn
I
Ben
like when he
Stein.
pops up in things.
I used to watch this show.
I wanted to win his money.
I didn't realize how smart that guy was. I was like, this guy's smart.
He's
Nobody's
very.
winning his money.
He used to be a political speecher. He wrote speeches for Nixon when he was in the White House.
Mm,
Ben Stein is a
interesting.
very, very smart man.
I didn't know that. I just thought he was an actor. I thought he was just an actor
I learned that later in
with
life.
a
I didn't know
boring
that.
voice.
Yeah, but to me,
But
he's
yeah.
this, and he's the Bueller guy in Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah. I whenever I yeah, true. But I think his game show, I can't not think of that whenever I see him because he dominated that show. Like he's really smart.
And
Not a
hosted
lot of
by
people won his money.
and that show, if you remember, was hosted by I believe it was pre-Man Show Jimmy Kimmel.
Interesting. No, I wouldn't even have. Wow, that would have blew my mind if I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So as we
But
move
yeah,
into
yeah,
final
that's
thoughts,
everything I have to say.
since this was your sorry, I'm having trouble with words right now. So since this was your pick, why don't you give us your thoughts first?
Okay, yeah, I love this movie. Um, I think it still holds up for the most part. There's some things that don't translate now. It's 2026, but overall, I think it's great. Holds up. The CGI still holds up. Um, I think this is one of the earlier movies that proves that Jim Carrey wasn't just a comedian. He was like a living, breathing special effect slash cartoon. Um, he took this zero to hero type trope and put his own signature on it with this like Tex Avery inspired cartoon logic of a movie or a character. Um, it's definitely I like the look of it. I think the aesthetic it's like this almost a very neon, a lot of neon look of the city. I really enjoyed. The whole like 1940 aesthetic too. I liked. Um, the positives, big positives to me is Jim Carrey's physicality again. It's another movie where he gets to physically act his ass off, and he did it with perfection. The way he channels the manic energy of a Looney Tunes character, he does it with such terrifying precision. Um, it definitely should be studied, his performance in this movie where um, he gives his all physically. Obviously, the introduction of Cameron Diaz, she definitely left quite a mark in this movie that definitely carried her career into the 2000s. Um, some of the bad for me is the generic subplot of the gangster, but I get it. It's a cartoon. It's a comic book, so it's a trope that is used. But I think there could have been more there. They could have added more to that because it was very thin, in my opinion. But overall, and obviously, I got to give a big shout out to Milo. I think he's honestly one of the best animal sidekicks in movie history. Definitely put in some of the most work I've ever seen a dog did in any movie. Um, yeah, it's a high energy, colorful, genuinely funny and great movie that remains one of the best living cartoon type comics ever made. I highly recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. If you are a fan of comic book movies, fan of Jim Carrey movies, or just a fan of just very stylized, entertaining movie, I recommend it. I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you said. I also have been a big fan of this movie since I first saw it. I enjoy the comedic bits, the physicality of Jim Carrey specifically. Surprisingly, I thought Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz had some pretty good chemistry on screen. And I think she did a fantastic job for this being her first role of any kind on film. And it was
Yeah.
a great debut for her to be introduced to the world on screen. Um, I liked Peter Green as the villain. Again, I wish he would have been a little bit more fleshed out. There wasn't a whole lot to his character. Um, Personally, myself being a big fan of Richard Jenny, I would have liked to see him have a little bit more to do in the movie, or be in it a little bit more. That being said, they they really did a good job working with what they had, albeit it was a very very big um, difference from the comic to the movie. But obviously, we've already discussed why that was done. Yeah,
Hmm.
it does. It does. It really does feel like a comic, almost like a Dick Tracy comic noir type thing for part of the movie, and then the parts that aren't are bright, they're colorful, they're high energy, they're a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I think this is a very funny movie. I would recommend this pretty much across the board to anybody. If you haven't seen it, if you have, uh, watch it again, watch it for the first time. I think you'll enjoy it. And I'm going to give this movie personally for myself a 7 out of 10. Now, that is going to bring us to the end of our Jim Carrey mini series. Juan and I have discussed what we're going to do next. And we have decided we are going to do movies with duos. So, what that means is we're going to focus on movies that kind of focus on a pair of characters, whether they be male, female, one female, either any way, shape, or form like that. Just basically that the main protagonist is a twosome, more or less. Now,
Hmm.
this being my pick, I kind of was flip flopping with this because, as I had said to you, one um, before we started recording, you could pretty much go in almost any genre and find a pair movie or a duo movie, whether you action, comedy, adventure, any of that. Um, I'm going to go to a movie that I actually hadn't really thought of until maybe about an hour or so before we started recording. And I'm going to have us go back to the year of 1997 to a secret government agency that polices extraterrestrial life on planet Earth.
Oh, okay? You took one of my potential picks.
And we're going to watch Men in Black.
Mm, good one, good one, good one.
I was I was going over so many like because the ones that really were coming to mind for me were like just blatant comedy, like Blues Brothers popped in my head, Tommy Boy, like stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then
A lot of comedy.
I don't know what made this movie pop into my head, but I just went, "Fuck, Men in Black is a great. It's like a buddy cop movie with sci-fi and comedy and
Comedy. It's a bunch of different genres mashed up And another one that's based, I believe it's based off of
It's based on a comic book as
Tom.
well.
Yeah.
And this is like right after Will Smith became like the movie star, because this is the year after Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
And you've also got, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it. One of my favorite performances that I've ever seen him give is Vincent D'Onofrio in this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely for me. It was his breakout movie. I mean, I knew him
Well,
from,
I mean, Independence Day I think is considered his breakout, but
but no, yeah, I'm saying just for me personally. I knew him from like Independence Day and Fresh Prince, but it was Men in Black, which was like, oh, okay, I love this guy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
looking forward
mean,
to it.
yeah, it's a movie. Again, I've watched it somewhat recently because I am a big fan. I'm not a huge fan of the second one. I really like the third one, oddly enough.
Really? I like the second one. There's
I
parts of
really
it I like. Rosario
well.
Dawson being one of them.
A big thing with the second one is I went and saw that in theaters as a double feature with Spider-Man 2.
Oh, well, I mean, you're going up against the greatest comic book movie, one of the greatest comic movies of all time, of
No, the
course.
problem was what happened was the film in the theater fucked up, and it was almost like it
Oh,
got bumped. So it's almost like the projector tilted, and you like half the screen was cut off, and it took them like
for Men in Black?
25. Yeah, and
Oh,
it took
okay.
them like 25 minutes to get somebody in to fix it, and then they just started the movie from that point on. Everyone's like, but we've missed 20 minutes of the movie, and they're like, yep, sorry, nothing we can do. We've got another movie after this. Like,
I would have been mad as fuck if that would have happened during
I
Spider-Man 2.
I think they gave us like a voucher for a free movie, but I was like, okay, that's great, but it didn't get me to watch the movie this time.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I get
But
it, I get it. Your disappointment.
but yeah, so join us next week as we begin our duo series, and we will be beginning, as I said, with Men in Black. So that's going to bring it to the end for this episode. As always, we would like to thank everybody for listening. We would like to thank everybody for following us, subscribing, and if you haven't already, give us a follow, give us a rate, a review. We are available on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. And yeah, give us a rating, give us a review, 5 stars, please. We would really appreciate it. It would help the podcast grow. And give us a follow on our socials, which, as always, will be posted in the show notes. And until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.